Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and this amazing video. I'm Aditya. In this video, we will be building this mobile application using React Native, TypeScript and Tailwind CSS. So what is this? What does this do? So here I can type any username. Let's type my GitHub username. And then if I hit search, it will show me my GitHub stats. So how many public repos I have, how many followers and how many are following. So we will use this as a GitHub stats lookup app. So let's begin with the coding. To begin with, let's create the Expo project. So you can create an Expo project. So first for that, you need to install Expo CLI, and also you then need to run this command. So let's copy this. I won't copy this command till here. I'll copy till here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put -t flag. So it will ask me certain questions. So first it will ask me what template I want. Definitely TypeScript because yes. And then we will need some project names. I'm going to say git react native, and then it will create our project. Okay, so our project is ready. Now let's cd into it. Cd git, oops, so we will say cd git react native, and then before we run our project with Android or iOS or whatnot, first what we are going to do is we will install native wind. So what is native wind? So it's an amazing package which allows you to use literally Tailwind CSS inside your React Native app. Now I have created a video before of integrating Tailwind CSS with React Native. So it's the same package, it's just renamed with Native Wind now. So what I'm going to do is, to begin with, I'm going to start by adding this Native Wind, and make sure I'm using the Expo one. So you can also, there is a React Native steps as well, which are very similar, nothing that different. So what we are going to do is first we are going to just install this. So I'm going to say npm install. Once it is installed, we need to add Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to say npm I Tailwind CSS dev. We just want its dev dependency. And then we need to initialize the Tailwind config. So we'll just run this command. Perfect. So this will initialize the Tailwind config for us. And at the same time, what we need to do is we just need to add this inside our babel.config.js, because the reason being, if we don't add this, then we have to write components in this way. So we will need to import styled, and then we need to create a styled component of a React Native components, in this case view, and then we could use class name on it. But if we don't want to do that, we can just simply add a Babel like this over here, the Babel plugins in babel.config.js, and that's it. Then we don't need to worry about using styled for creating components. So let's open it with VS Code. All right, so here we have the config file. So here we also need to add certain configurations, and here we just need to add the plugin. So let's get that line from there, and then we can put it over here. Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I will also need to add this content over here. So let's add that from here till here, put it over here. I will also need to put tsx, because the reason being, I'll be creating just one screen when I'll be coding in app.txs for this. So I'll just put that so that it will look for this classes or whatever Tailwind classes it has to look, and it will do the tree shaking on that. Okay, I guess so far so we are all good to start. So what I'm going to do is project npm start. I'm going to scan this QR code, and then it will open the Expo project in my phone. And what I'm using a power mirror to just screen mirror my phone on the laptop. So now what we need to do is let's get coding. Let's get started with coding. So first I'll remove this style sheet, and what I'm going to do is I will add here maybe some class name to see if React Native is added. So I'm going to add here, let's say class name equal to, let's do something like bg black, and also so this will test if Tailwind native wind is added correctly. So if it is, then it should be fine. Okay, so there we go. We have this black screen over here, and this we can add some class name over here, class name, and let's make this text slate 600 or 100. You'll consider now I'll using Tailwind CSS3. So if I add this, you'll see that this is added over here. So that's great. So we can use Tailwind CSS3 without any problem. Now what we will do is we'll create a separate folder here that will be components. And here we will create components one by one. So the first component we are going to create is the search box. So I'm going to create search box.tsx. Now I'm using ES7 React snippet extension, so that allows me to create scaffolding like quickly. So what it does is I'm going to say tsrnf and then tab, and then it will create a snippet for me. Now in this search box, I'm going to use certain properties. So we will need a text input. So I'm going to say text input, and then this will be aligned with here text input. Oh, sorry, it will come from there. And now first thing we need is placeholder. I'm going to say enter your username here. And then next thing we will need is the color for this placeholder text. So placeholder text color, I'm going to give it hashtag FFFFFF. So that means white color. And here I added some extra things, so that goes. And then next thing I need to add here is on change text. So in normal React we have on input. In React Native we have either on change or on change text. So this is going to be a function which will get in a text which will be of type string, and that we will assign it to our use state. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to create a use state. So let's get use state from React. That's awesome. And next we need here const username, set username, that will come from use state, which is going to be of type string. So this username is always going to be of type string. Initially the default value will be blank, and we can bind it over here. We could say set username, that whatever the text user pass in. Next, a button, and also we need to bring this up over here. So what I'm going to do is I'll remove this from here. Now if you see, this thing has went over here, so we will need a safe area view. So I'm going to say safe area view, that will come from our React Native. So it will come from here, safe area view, and then we will add here search box. And let's save this, and you will notice that we have the search box over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the search box, add some styling. So here I'm going to add some styling to the class name. First it would be border gray of 100, padding of 2. Then I'm going to say it will have, let's keep like this, and there we go, we have the box. Now we will need to add a button. So I'm going to get that touchable opacity, or we can use pressable as well, that's fine, pressable. And here let's import this pressable from React Native, pressable. And then what we need to do next is we need to add some styling to this. So class name, this will be of bg sky 600, and 600, px of 4, py of 2, so vertical padding and horizontal padding. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this in flexbox. So here I'm going to say class name equal to flex. Now by default they are in column, so we will make them row, item center, and items center and space x of 4. Awesome. Now here you'll see we have the search box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add here some text. So text, that will come from again React Native. And here we will say text would be search. It will have a class name of text gray 50. And let's see, what do we have? There we go. Let's add some rounded corners as well to this. So I'm going to say rounded. And there we go. We have nice rounded button. And also what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give this MX auto so that it comes in the center. And also I'm going to give some horizontal margin, margin from top 75. So it will come at the bottom of it. Next, what we need to do is we just want this like to have certain padding. So not actually for this. So we will need an extra scrollable view so that we can avoid the keyboard after we touch it, so that keyboard gets closed. So scrollable, or yes, scroll view, actually not scrollable view, scroll view. So actually we don't need text here for now. We can remove this from here, and we also don't need this status bar over here, so we can remove the status bar. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wrap this scroll view. So let's wrap this like this, and let's bring this search box inside this. And then what we are going to do is here we will give a property. We will say keyboard should persist tabs, and here we will say handled. So what's going to happen is whenever we type something, whenever the keyboard pops up, and whenever we touch somewhere, the keyboard will be dismissed, or it will just hide, because ideally it won't hide if you touch anywhere. So we just want to make sure that the keyboards hide when we touch somewhere. And next thing we need to do is here we will say this will have a height of screen. So here I'm going to say height of screen. Perfect. Now if I show you a demo, so if I type something here, so keyboard turns up, if I touch anywhere, it goes off. Perfect. So this is done. This is done. Now next thing, the card list. So what I'm going to do is here I'll pass data to the card list. So on the search box, I need to pass a function that will search as soon as someone hits this pressable. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to take const search. Now this is going to be a function which will take the search term. Now we can validate this search term for making sure it's not blank or everything. So what we are going to do is, search term, and here we're going to say if search term equal to blank, if nothing is provided, then we will alert, or rather we can write something like this: alert, please enter something, and then we will return from here. Now here it's showing an error, so we just need to give it some type. So I'm going to give it a type string. That's perfect. And next thing, once this is done, once this is completely working fine, the next thing we need to do is make an API call. So we need to pass that function to our search box. So I'm going to take a prop over here on the search box. That's going to be on search, and that's going to be a function. So we will just pass that over here on pressable. So over here on press, that will be on search, whatever the term that is being searching asked for. So here I'm going to make it as a callback like this, and here I'm going to say whatever the search term is. So in this case, it's going to be username, and we will need, or we can get that from here. So here I'm going to say on search, so because that will be passed as a prop, and then it will throw an error on search is missing. So here we can pass that on search, that's gonna be search. That's perfect. Now let's give it a try. If we hit enter, if we press over here something like this, it shows alert, please enter something. That's great. So that means we are good. Okay, now next thing we need to do is run the query. So here I'm going to use fetch API. So I'm going to say let's do it now without any async function. So here I'm going to say fetch. Now the API would be something like this: https api.github.com. Then I guess there is users, and then there will be username, whatever username is being passed. So that will come from search term. And then if this is successful, Then we will have result. We need to convert that result or response into JSON, and then we will get the data. This data we will pass it to our function. So first let's console this. How does this look like? Console.log data. And what I'm going to do now is let's go back over here and create, or let's type something. So I'm going to type my name, my username, Aditya. Oh, if you see, like it shrinked, and also it's kind of like the text is not visible. So what we need to do is we need to give it a fixed width. So let's give it a fixed width over here. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say this will be of width 2x3, and oh sorry, not this. We need to make our input of width 2x3. So this one, width 2x3. And now if you notice, it's going to be of constant width, and also we need to give some text color so that we can see what's being typed. So I'm going to give this 100, text color of 100. Oh sorry, what I'm doing, text gray of 100, sorry. And there we go, we have the text being typed. So R15, and if I search for that in the console, I should see the details. Here it's oh sorry, this should be 1H. Now if we try again, there we go, we have the data. So we need, what do we need? We need the public repos. We need we can get the avatar URL as well to show the avatar, and then we will also need the followers and who is following, so the number of followers and the number of followings. So from here, if I show you what do we need, so we will need first this URL over here, sorry, the followers over here, and then we will need following, then we will need the username, which is here, then we will need public repos over here, and also, and here it is, the avatar URL. So we can get these things. So let's get them one by one. So what we are going to do is, number one, let's create a user component. So user.tsx, and inside this tsrnf, and let's have first the image component and then the text. So here we will need an image component. So that will be image, that will come from React Native again. Oops, there we go. And here we need to give it some source. That will be, so we will need to first define our props. So first we will need this src, that will be the avatar URL. So we will take it as a string. Then we will have username, that will be the username of the user. So we will take this as a string as well. And then here we can say URI is src, and that will come in the props. src username, and also we can have here last name. So I'm gonna do something like this here. I'll be making it of width 10, height of 10. If required, we can increase it later. Rounded full, and should be fine. This again gonna be flexbox. So class name equal to flex row, items center, and also we will need one more thing here, that would be space x of 3. That's perfect. Now here, and we need to close this, and here we will need the username. Oh, it should be this one, username, and here we can pass it some class name. That would be text lg, and then I'm gonna make it text gray 200 font semi-bold. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'll give it some margin from top over here. So mt of, let's do my actually, my of 5. Perfect. Oops. Now if you notice, I'm getting this red line all over this because we haven't added types for native Vim. So if I open the documentation here for native Vim, if I go to TypeScript, you'll see we need to add this line in app.d.tss. So let's add that. So let's copy this from here. Just create a new file here. app.d.ts. Let's paste this over here. Save it. And now we need to just recompile it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, close this for a moment, clean this, CLS. Let's close this. Let's go over here. And now if you see, everything is gone. So I'm going to say npm run start, and we are good. Like, we can use the class name properly. So that's great. Now, next thing we need to do. Okay, so this is done. This is done. Let's increase this a bit. And now what we need is we need to bring this in our app over here. So here I'm going to say after the search is come successful. So here we will have our user. Now we just need to auto import it. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just to make sure that it renders correctly. I'm going to render this data if there is a data. So we will need to take a state to assign data to the state. So here I'm going to take another state. I'm going to say const data, that data by default is going to be a null data. Now we can give it some styling, sorry, not styling, the interface or some type for it. So what I'm going to do is let's just import, and also I will get use callback. The reason being I'll put this in a use callback just to have some performance improvements. So this is going to be a callback, something like this, and it will be dependent on an array. So it will go till here, and then it should depend on a dependency array. There we go. And what's going to happen is whenever there's a search term changed, we can console the data over here. So that would be our set data. Set data. That's perfect. Now let's give it some type. So here I'm going to give it a type of. So we can create a type over here, or we can create a separate file. For now, I'll just create it over here. Type data. That's going to be of type. There will be avatar URL. Going to be of type string. Let's see what do we have. So then we will have followers. That's going to be either a string or a number. Then we will have following. That will be again either a string or a number. Then we will have login. That's going to be our username, so string again. And we will have public repos. That's going to be again a string or a number. I'm taking it as a string because sometimes you might get data like 4 as a string rather than a number. So if there are 4 public repos, and here we will use that data. It's perfect. And then what we need to do is when we set the data, we just need to pass here. We will have src. That will be data dot avatar URL, and then we will have the username. That will be data dot login. Perfect. So let's give this a try. All right, so let's type something here. So I'm going to type Aditya R15 search, and there we go. We have the avatar and this over here. So let's give it some padding to this. So here for the scrollable view, I'm gonna give a horizontal padding, so px of maybe 5. There we go. Let's do it 4 actually. Px of 4, and let's do for 4 from all side, and let's do mx auto. Perfect. And next thing we need to do is this thing over here. We need some margin from the top. So from the search, from the user actually, we can give the margin of, this should be MT5 actually, sorry for that. And there we will have some margin, and then we will need some list of cards. So let's create another component that's going to be card list dot tsx. This will be again tsrnf. Now this will be list of cards. So here we will have class name. That's gonna be flex of row. There will be gap of, let's say, 5, and then we will also have flex wrap, and also we will, yeah, this should be, let's give it some margin from the top as well. So my 5. Perfect. Let's get this inside over here, not over here, over here. So we will have this over here, card list. Now the problem is this also depends upon availability of data. So let's wrap these two in a round bracket. So, and also in a fragment. So here I'm going to use a fragment like this, or over here. Yeah, perfect. So this all looks great. Now next thing we need to do is we just need to add, now we just need to add some props to this card list. So that will be the data again. So here I'm going to say it will have data, which will be, now actually we can take this from here. So let's export this. So export type data, and we can get that type from app. So import data from app.tsx. So it's going to be app, actually it's going to be of type data. We will have here data, and what we are going to do is here we will have cards. So we can create like number of cards. So let's create another component, const card. That's going to be, it will take two values. So it's going to be a number and a text. So here I'm going to say it's going to take number and a text. Both will be of type string. So string, and here we will just say this will be text and this will be number. That's perfect. And then here we just need to, so it's going to be a component actually. So what we will need is here return, and then here we will have a view. This will be of class name. It will be a flex again. Justify item center. Items center, and inside this flex we will have another view. Now what this view is going to do is this will make sure that this card, whatever text we put, they are exactly in the center. So we just need to make sure they are exactly in the center. And also let's give it some rounded borders, rounded MD, and we can also pass other props because we might want to pass some class name to this. So here I'm going to say whatever the other props comes, they come over here. Or you could say you also look for it as a rest of props. So that's what we are passing here. And now what we need to do here is, here we will give the text. And that would be our number first. Then we will give the same text, but this time it will be just the text. And here for both of these we need to give some white color class name or some text color of like white or gray. So class name equal to text gray of 50, font semi bold. This one over here, this will be having some vertical margin, so MT3. Now what we are going to do is let's bring that card over here one by one. So first we will have card. So here we will pass the number of followers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, let's pass public repos first. So text equal to public repos. That will come from the number that will be. Now here you'll say it's saying string number is not associable to string. So this thing we will be making it as, actually let's make it something like this. So this will be number as well. Yeah, Now that should be fine. Now let's bring this component back over here. So to bring this component here, we need to pass it the, what do we need to pass? So we need to pass the data. So let's say data is data. And then if we look for something, let's look for my repo again, sorry, my GitHub again, and you'll see we are getting this over here. Now let's let's have some color for it. And also for each card, let's give it some fixed width and height. So here I'm gonna give a width of maybe 36 and height of 36. And that's perfect. And what we need to do next is here on each card we can pass class name. That will be so for this I'm going to give bg blue 500. There we go. So we have that thing, and let's make this number in text center. So it comes in the center for text center. That's perfect. Amazing. And now let's do it for others. So we can, so you'll see here it's giving an error. To avoid this error, what you could do is you could have something like this. So it's going to be other, that's going to be of type string, which will have again of type any. And then you'll see that error will go off. So it's just a workaround in TypeScript for REST props. So let's take this all from here. Now let's just put it one after the other like this. So we'll need for this, save this, and there we go. We have amazing app which shows the stats like this. Now next thing we need to do is we can if you see that there is the margin over here and here it's not properly placed. So what we could do is to have this placed properly, we can have justify center, and there we go. You will have this in center, so everything is properly placed, and actually this looks all good, so should be fine. In that case, it will become like this. So it depends on what layout you want. So let's keep it MX auto like this. So we have something like this. And next thing is, if you notice, like this thing over here is going slightly out of bounds. So let's go to users and also make this MX auto. So it will come in center, but let's give it a width of maybe 3 by 4. Okay, let's make it 11 by 12. Yeah, there we go. So that becomes perfectly aligned. So there it is. We have an amazing app. Let's try with now different name. So there we go. We have it with different name like this. Now what we will do is let's try to make or let's have some, like when we click on, when we have this input focus, so let's give it some focus color. So what we are going to do is let's go to our search box, and here on our input I'm going to say whenever it is focus, I want a border on it which will be of maybe let's say 2, and whenever it is focus, I want the border color to be purple 500. And see, if I focus on this, it shows the border color, like there is slight border. We can also have some transition on it. Let's also make this some rounded, and there we go. We have nice rounded input and everything is looking so amazing. So well, that's all in this video. Hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. GitHub repo link, like the actual link to this code, will be in the description section. If you feel this video is worth sharing, please do share with your network. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Till the next time, goodbye.